What's your most embarrassing moment from your school days? I called my teacher Dad. The worst part? My teacher was a woman. Farted during silent reading time in high school and the entire class turned their heads at once in my direction. No question that it was me. I frantically tried to deny it anyway and it caused a big commotion for several minutes. The teacher was like, "Yes. Yes. Scared frog farted. Let's get back to our reading." I was so embarrassed, OMG. Well, I basically had diarrhea in a school bus and it was so smelly that everyone went to front seats as I was the only one sitting in the back with my pants all smelly from shit. Teacher came to ask me if I need anything. I said no tie because I was too shy to admit I had to poop. And that I pooped myself. That was in 4th grade BTW. Age 11. Decided to masturbate into a urinal because I was bored and horny studying for finals when I was in college. I studied in an empty classroom in the creepiest old building on campus so that I could be completely focused and not be distracted. I hadn't seen anybody in that building for 3 hours, so I didn't feel the need to lock the bathroom door or do my business in a stall like a normal person. So I'm going to town on myself and suddenly the bathroom door opens and stop mid-fap. Foreskin noises stops suddenly. I just stood there holding my erect penis for a second. Put it back in and leave without making eye contact. Still have no idea who that person was. But they definitely knew what I was doing and that I'm fucking weird. I was presenting and my teacher on her desk was right behind me facing my back and I let out a really nasty fart that blew almost directly into her face. It was so bad she started using her cardigan to cover her nose. The whole class went into hysterics. College class with like 200 people. I'm barely paying any attention when I hear the professor say, "Who here listens to Rush?" And I alone, eagerly raise my hand. It was a political science class and he was talking about Rush Limbaugh. I told him I liked 2112 and everyone was silent, and I realized too late what I had done. Slipping on a chicken nugget coming out of the cafeteria line on the first day of high school. Whole tray dumped on me. It was awful. Pissing myself in 6th grade. Teacher said no multiple times and I couldn't hold it anymore. Parents surprisingly wasn't mad when they heard the full story. Was listening to music and decided to let a fart out in time with the beat. Forgot I was wearing headphones attached to my Walkman. Got my period in 7th grade and apparently left a trail wherever I went. The worst part is my dad picked me up from school, lol. I remember him really trying to comfort me and telling me about one of his cousins it happened to. So that was actually kind of nice. I agreed to compete in a debating contest at a nearby private school as a favor to a teacher I was close with. I didn't think any more of it. I had never debated before. I prepared nothing. I'd wing it. I couldn't wing it. I floundered for 5 minutes. It was humiliating. I don't know what I expected. Still think about that. Playing football in PE got hit in the balls. Thought it was fine for a few minutes but then realized something didn't feel right and discovered my balls had swollen to the size of 3 fists. So then had to walk to get a taxi to A+E whilst literally carrying my balls in one hand through my trousers in order to relive the weight, whilst trying to hide the fact my carrying my bag in front of me. To make matters worse, I was the teacher, scaring off a girl I liked because my only instructions to that point had been romantic comedies, which generally are not a healthy guide for starting a relationship. In 6th grade, I was pantsed in front of about half my grade. Unfortunately for me, this was before I made the transition to boxers. So while I pulled my shorts up as fast as I could, the damage was done. Thankfully for me, my briefs that day were grey. So they weren't technically tighty-whities, but that's a small consolation. The first time my hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating, showed its ugly head, I was a junior in HS and we needed to dress up for serious presentations. I wore a tan blouse that day. By the time I arrived at school I had puddles of sweat beneath my arms and it was clearly visible to everyone. I did not have a sweater. My friends didn't have one I could borrow. I ended up calling my aunt who saved the day. Play fighting with a kid before class in the 2nd grade. He accidentally stepped on my skirt and pantsed me. Thankfully he had backed me behind the teacher's desk so only a few kids saw and none of us spoke of it afterwards. I ran into a parked car and got this huge black eye. It was senior year and was driving a buddy's car to lunch. I made a right turn but failed to even look in the direction I was turning. Dumb, I know. And had a head-on with a school bus full of the band kids. Totaled the car and I wasn't wearing my seat belt on top of that. At the moment of impact I flew forward and cracked the windshield with my cranium. The band kids started to exit the bus and I'll never forget the constant looks of disbelief they all gave me as they come off the bus one by one. I went to a small school so everyone knew everyone and word spread fast. I ending up going back to class afterwards, so imagine my embarrassment as everyone turned and looked at me as I walked in. I wanted to face the music immediately instead of waiting and dreading it the next day. My friends of course teased me about it but thankfully weren't relentless about it. After graduation I never brought it up or told anyone who already didn't know. How the hell do you explain that? That year I was voted most likely to wreck your car. Something along those lines.